the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Telling you guys a bit of a review video on a brand new tent from Dometic. So this here is the Dometic Ascension 601 and also the 401. So you can sort of chop and choose between the design of this particular model in different sizes. They do essentially a 4 berth and a 6 berth. So everything I'm about to tell you now through the 6 berth is exactly the same but the 4, and just the fact the sizes are a bit smaller. And you can always check if you want a bit more feel for the 401 size. We've done a review video on the Polycotton 401, which you can kind of get a bit more of a grasp for it. So that way it's exactly the same in terms of the layout, the sizing, just the fact it's in that kind of Polycotton material rather than the polyester which we have here. So the Ascension is kind of, well, Dometic's top of the range model, so it has all the features they have to offer, and that's kind of the ethos really of this whole new Dometic range. And it kind of, they sort of split the brands of Camper and Dometic, and basically done Camper sort of a starting point, Dometic high end. So what you see is literally every single feature they have to offer, they've put it in, and even creating this whole new design, and even, to be fair, new features that you've not seen else on the market, so they're quite innovative in that way. The whole principle of it is essentially a free zone tent. So you've got sleeping, living, and then kind of this enclosed sort of front awning area. But you have the versatility, you can open up a lot of the sections so it flows really nicely through. The first thing you can see is design-wise, it's something completely different to you've seen anywhere else. And to me, it almost feels like a safari kind of lodge where you've got this very kind of boxy up and over roof, and it's trying to maximize the sheer amount of space. You can put tables and chairs right in the corner, not have to worry about it. That's probably one of the criticisms, certainly in the past, of kind of when the Camper were doing the tents, or the Camper Dometic were doing the tents, I should say, is that the slopes very much side, and this has kind of gone the polar opposite in the opposite way. So you've got a very boxy kind of feel, and that also helps with certainly the internal height, especially in the corners. So the Ascension sits at the top of the range, available in polyester and polycotton. So the polyester which I've got me here is basically a 150D, runs around about sort of 6,000 mil hydrostatic head, but you've got all, like I said, main features. So you've got reflective webbing straps on the front and on the back. You've got that kind of quick and easy pegging system. So a single point here will peg the base out and also do the gyro at the same point. You've got a really nice little adjusting point here, so you can get that tension as and when you need it to. But it means that you always make sure you're not going too far away and you get the best shape for the guy point. You've got orange highlighted kind of webbing straps on the main point, so you can know to peg those first and you can pump it up from there. Each beam's done individually, so you pump it up a single point located outside. So one beam is done on its own, and you can see that from our own Attwoolls pitching and packing video. It took myself no longer than about sort of 14 minutes, 15 minutes to sort of pump the whole thing up, pegged out, got out the works. And again, means that you could take something away that is this big away for a week or even essentially a weekend, and you're not going to be sort of short of space. One thing they've always tried to do, like I said, being kind of they want it to be like the creme of tents, is they've given you oversized bedrooms and more room than you necessarily need, which is, again, if you're paying this sort of money for a tent, you want it to be, you know, everything you would ever thought about and even more. You've got loads of ventilation, so not only you've got mesh panels sort of on the above the windows, but then you've also got below the windows. Again, it's all about circulation and get it inside. You've got 2 side mesh doors, as well as a full mesh door as well. So you've got the ability of having ventilation, an entrance from either side. On the far side we got over there, there's also a little brow canopy. So again, you've got that rain safe door. Located on this door on the side here, there's a never zip. So if you want to, you can actually buy an additional annex. So you wanted external storage area without taking up inside of the tent. Again, you can add that onto it. As we sort of saw in 2020 with kind of the Studler range, you know, you can build it on as you want to and put a wardrobe pole in there. And again, if you see the TC review we've done of this particular Ascension size, we've got the side pod built onto it there, so it gives you a bit more of a feel for what that's going to look like. You've got a sort of deeper bedrooms, and there's a little sort of almost back storage section right at the back here as well, which we'll go to in just a moment on the inside. But again, you've got a nice big ventilation panel at the back, nice strong storm straps, and this new quirky design where you've got a little alloy pole that sits in there just to kind of create that kind of back storage section. So we'll have a little look through that in a second. Other things to mention is the fact you can extend it if you really wanted to. They've been quite canny in making sure that it'll fit on a standard, you know, pitch. So if a standard pitch, for example, is about 8 by 5, it does vary from campsite to campsite. This sits about 7.5 meters out deep. So again, that's why you've kind of got, you know, it's a bit more compact in terms of its size point, just because it wants to make sure it's not going to be too big to fit on a campsite. The Ascension's got this kind of built on front door, and again, you can roll it sort of from left to right or right to left as you've got multiple zip pullers. One thing you can always do if because you've got, again, 4 zip pullers, you can create kind of little veranda kind of style. So if we take this up like so, zip this across, again, you see you can create a little veranda, allow a bit of airflow coming into the tent, but also get that sort of security when you wanted to. Alternatively, you want to open the canopy fully up, you can go up a third, 2/3, or if you want to be ultra lazy, let's take that out. You could unzip that down to the very bottom. Try to do too many zip pullers, and then just either roll it up or fold it up and leave it kind of down out the way. You know, you can sort of roll it down, do a bit more neater job than I have there. Then you've got this really big, nice open canopy. And again, because you can put the zip rollers from left to right, right to left, you alter it depending on what the wind conditions are doing. But again, it gives you the ultimate amount of flexibility. You've then got what feels like an open big canopy, but when the weather does turn, you can seal it off. There's also a zip located on the top here as well, and this little flap. So if you wanted to buy, like I said, make it bigger, there's additional canopy you can buy, and also a mesh vestibule. So again, if you wanted a full frontal mesh door, you can put it directly onto the front of the tent, or again on the front of the canopy as well. So you can make this bigger as and when you wanted to. It means again, if you're going for a longer period of time, you just put a tent up, and then you add the canopy as a separate entity, take it down, and you know, you've got a lot more chop and change. But let's talk for a few more features that the Ascension has to offer on the inside. So now we're kind of inside the Ascension, you can kind of get a bit more feel for certainly the layers you've got to the tent. So we'll sort of start in sort of front awning / canopy area and work our way back as we go through. So like I said, you've got a decent amount of sort of depth in here as well. You've got the front door, which obviously, like I say, can be versatile. As we've seen on the outside, you can go from one side to another. Again, when you buy a footprint to go with the tent itself, you get this extra ground sheet for the front section, which actually toggles in and kind of overlaps the kind of baffle you got on the bottom. It kind of creates that sort of feeling of a sewn in ground sheet, but the flexibility, like on a day when you want to have a partial door open, you can have the rain just driving in, soaking into the ground, you haven't got to worry about it. Whereas if the fully door open, you leave the ground sheet down, it's just to collect water and then most likely feed under the tent, especially if we're on a slope like we are today. So, like I said, the key things really is the fact that you've got the versatility there, but also you've got these beautiful big crystal clear windows. Admittedly, when you've got a lot of condensation in them, they're not as crystal clear, but you get sort of great visibility all around the campsite, and actually you've got the privacy there as well. So every single window has its own individual zip-up curtain, and also it's even got a little storage pocket as well, and we'll come to that more inside the main living area. But it's a fine details that they've really sort of touched on with this and trying to make it, like I said, essentially the best spec tent on the market is what they've gone for. And to be fair, with a lot of things they have really sort of tuned it up. And it's the little details, things like all the zip pullers are kind of these little kind of triangular kind of pieces that actually you can get a good grip on as well, and it's all branded as well as color coordinated. Also things like every sort of door retainer, for example, rather than being sort of toggle sort of system, you've actually physically got a bit of webbing strap and an adjustable clip, so you can have no problems making sure that you can actually quite happily get things back where they need to be. And that makes a big difference, especially when you've got a big roll like this. You want that to be as long as possible, otherwise you find that everyone struggles to roll doors back, and we do it on a daily basis in the shop, and that's a big kind of really nice additional thing you can do. Again, kind of when we sort of move into the main living area here, you find that the ability to kind of open up this section works really nicely. So you can either have it sort of, again, like the front door, sort of a third open or 2/3 open. That part there is a fixed panel, as we see in the corner. So that almost creates almost like a dead end space. It's a great place to sort of put your cooking unit and that sort of stuff, and then it sort of doesn't really sort of obscure your flow into the tent as we go through there. Again, on the other side, great area sort of for wardrobe units or table and chairs. So it's kind of creating those almost dead spaces so you can utilize them as you need to, and you're not disrupting the flow as you're coming in and out. Full door as well, and when you find the door itself, it lips down and lips up, so you find you've got a sort of trip-free access in and out of tent. You know, wheelchairs, pushchairs, that sort of can happily get in here. And again, you can actually open this up. So you've got the mesh door, which obviously seals completely, or your normal solid door. As you would expect, again, you've got a panel which you can put up there. And in here, I'm going to give it a get done, probably not. Might just roll that down for the time being, just to kind of give you a bit more idea. But then this ground sheet down here also it velcros, but you can velcro it down. So you create this whole sort of open sector here, which gives you, say, that access point in and out. And again, if you've got a kind of front door completely sealed up, it makes your sort of main living area much, much bigger. So now we're in sort of the main living area, you've got a really nice strong sort of PE ground sheet, so really nice and robust. But then the internal height of here, I mean, you can see I'm about 6'2", and if I stand up dead in the middle, I'm kind of just about touching the roof. And it means that kind of pre-angled shape means, especially in the corners again, I can stand up dead in the corner on the Ascension, which is a big, big bonus. Throughout the tent, we'll bring the camera in just a moment as well. It's these little touches here and there. So when we talked about kind of the fact that you've got curtains, there's a little pocket located kind of beneath the window here. And again, every sort of kind of point where you traditionally would probably have a little tie, it's kind of these webbing straps and poppers. So it makes life a lot easier to get it where you want to. You've got zip-up curtains again, so you can have the full proper amount of privacy. Alternatively, you can kind of bring it down halfway, chuck that over like so, and again you can just kind of adjust it as and when you need to. When you want to put it away, you don't even have to roll it properly. You can just roll it down, and there's a massive big following pocket to take it up, and then a little popper that just kind of keeps it all at bay. And like I said, we'll bring the camera in just a moment. It's again other things like details like Zenfrosing, where rather than little Velcro tabs, again you've got these little poppers. So it means that when you've got your mains hanging point or cable, if you will, you run it up the beam along there, pop it all on. Again, a bit more premium, and then you haven't got again a Velcro tab or a little hook. It's a proper little metal carabiner. So it's things like that, just little oozes of quality in the details what you're seeing. And again, you've got it everywhere. So every single point has a point for the cable, and every single point has a hanging point. So you've got a cable, you know, carabiner, 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 and then carabiner in the awning area. So throughout everything, what you see, it just flows really nicely. And like I said, they've just tried to provide everything that anyone could possibly think about needing. Again, the kind of price does reflect that, and you would expect that for the money. So this pretty much will be the top end polyester tent on the market now. And okay, you can see it with all the little bits, they all add up to make a big, big difference. For example, you've got, when we talk about the cable points, you've got 3 cable entry points. You've got one on the right, one on the left, and then one down on the front here as well. Our 2 window panels in sort of the main living area have got mesh in both sides. And again, you can kind of open it up. We've got these really nice big zip points. Again, you get the airflow running throughout it. You got the privacy when you want it to. And then there are also things like you can put in a bedroom in the main living area here, and they've got a really nice, unique kind of, well, it's going to be a sort of painted design where the inner sits really smartly and looks like a part of the tent as well. So you haven't got to, you can detach it, but it's really subtly done, and this kind of border around it just seems to make it a bit more premium, you know. And it's that sort of stuff that just kind of almost oozes a bit of class in many ways. You've got storage pockets built into it. Again, so you can get sort of declutter the main part of the tent, and you've got 3 bedrooms at the back. So you've got sort of 140, a 140, and then a nice big 160 in the middle. So that's kind of your master bedroom, and then your 2 either side. You've got zip dividers between the 2 sections as well. So again, you can have it as truly as a 2, 2, and a 2, or if you want to, you can have as almost a 4 and a 2, and it kind of, again, gives you lots of versatility. You've also got things like this little palmet on the bottom here. So again, it's just trying to make it all kind of seamless and feel as part as one. And it kind of, I sit on the outside, it feels very much like a safari kind of tent, safari lodge, a bit more quirky in design, and it is quite a bit of a statement. A colour, I mean, admittedly sometimes can be a bit hit and miss. And to be honest with you, initially when I first thought it, I saw it, I was like, not sure about the colour. And the more and more I kind of spent time with it and being in it, I've definitely warmed up to it. And I actually think now it's a bit different. It's different from grey. You know, a lot of tents in the market now, it's grey, grey and grey. And this kind of is a nice kind of almost premium kind of green, really. So the bedroom itself, you're sort of looking around at a 220 depth, so it's a decent sized depth. But like I said, the thing that makes this completely different is the fact there's actually a complete back storage section. So it means that you can maximise all your living area here by using the storage section. So at the back here, you can see, hopefully just about, you've got this rear door. This rear door opens up, and then suddenly you've got this whole back bit around here. So again, you've got a large sort of section around here. I can just about stand up in this section as well, and it means that, you know, you've got this whole storage area. So for a moment, like for example, I've got the tent bag in there quite happily. And you can see down the bottom you've got low level ventilation. But I'll tell you what, let's pick up the camera and have a bit of a feel for what it's like in here. There's even things like storage pockets built into this point as well. So go on, let's go on a little walk. So as we kind of come in, you can kind of get a bit more idea about the depth of the canopy. Like I said, the ground sheeting comes included, which I've always mentioned as well. You've got a ventilation point at the top as well, which really helps to get the airflow into the tent. And that's the key thing with polyester tents. You know, as you can see from the windows, you do get a lot of condensation, even with this amount of ventilation. So it's very key you have all these panels open. But having that sort of view on the campsite when you look around, so you've got windows galore, and it really helps. And like I say, that's the ventilation point you can see there. Zips up and down, so you've got the sort of points to seal up on the inside. So you haven't got to go outside to seal that tent up, which is quite key as well. Your little points at the top, I said you've got a little carabiner, as well as the little tabs, your little poppers, just to put the cables in. So it's nice and easy. You can do it one-handed in many ways as well. This kind of shows you how easy it is. There's also a Velcro bit pre-sewn into it, and again that's on the same on every single beam, and that's for the Camper Sabre Flex light. So you can have sort of internal lighting running along these beams directly down with a remote control to kind of alter it as well. So you can have up to 3 lights on one particular socket. The bedroom scenario, as you can see, in fact, decent sized living area, plenty to talk about there. And again, that's got kind of palmet, so you can see how it's quite subtle. It all toggles up into these little points around here, so it's really nicely done. But when you sort of step back, it looks pretty much almost seamless as it's part of the tent itself. In the bedroom, we've got these dark bedrooms as well, so it's their sleep type bedroom, really nice and dark material. So when you sort of zip yourself up in here, it is quite dark, but you've got these kind of lower coloured panels that allow a little bit of light in, so it just takes it out a bit, so it's not too dark. You've got low storage pockets located down in the corner as well, so you can declutter the main part of your sleeping area and put things like phones, torches, that sort of stuff. So when you wake up in the middle of the night, you can double check where you need to be. Again, you've got this middle vent as well, so you have airflow coming into the tent, which works really nicely as well. All of it folds away to these little sort of storage pockets on the side, so there's no sort of rolling up along the side. It's literally into that pocket, out of sight, out of mind. And as we come back in here, we'll go into the little rear storage section. So we've opened it up, and in theory what you can do is if you want to put a bigger bed in here, you just unzip that back, put your feet through the end. I mean, 220 is deeper than normal depth anyway, but it just gives you the opportunity to kind of do that. And then as we come into the back, I say you've got this whole sort of storage area right at the back here, full length, full width for the tent, and you can access it from any of the bedrooms as well. This low level ventilation point as well. So for example, that's the canopy just tucked away there, the tent bag. So it gives you a bit more of an idea about how much space you have actually got in there. And instead you can just about stand up. I mean, it sort of starts to slope, and that's basically down to the aloe poles on the outside. One other thing to mention is you can actually get wardrobe poles. So you put a wardrobe pole in the bedroom section, as we've known from previous years with kind of the camper kind of styling, but that's the same. Again, we've got an annex on that side, that works really nicely. But let's have a little trip around the tent as well. So that kind of boxy feel really makes a difference, and you can see the windows there, really smartly done. And it's got this kind of edging around it as well. So there's like a black edging around the windows. It just again helps to make it feel a little bit more premium. And then we've got the rear poles right at the back. So the back almost looks like a traditional kind of old-fashioned realm tent. You know, you've got this little kind of, or a safari tent for that matter. And you've got these little aloe poles that sit at the back here. You just insert those afterwards. And it just gives you that little bit more storage space at the back. And again, you can see in terms of the sidewall how vertical that is. Really nice and big. You've still got the webbing straps to get the security, and you've got these 4 big, nice reflective webbing straps right at the back, as well as the ones lower end. And we see the vents located right on the back. The little canopy on the side, again, that's sort of your rain-safe door in and out, so you can walk in and out of there quite happily. But overall, I think really smart tent. Offers pretty much, like I said, everything and everything else you need. One thing I neglected to mention actually, you've even got a little folding point. So there's a little kind of, it's an orangey point located down there, and that's when you fold the back of the tent to that point, and it gives you the perfect width to kind of fit it back in the bag. Personally, as you can see from our own kind of Attwoolls pitching and packing videos, we don't really do it that method. We feel it's better doing it the way we do it, but that's obviously down to us really. So if you need more information about kind of the Ascension, or if you information of prices and sizes and that sort of stuff, what you can always do is actually go to the link below this video. It'll take you directly through to our website where we've got all the up-to-date prices, as well as things like package deals, and like I said, floor plans as well. So that kind of gives you a bit more of an idea of how big it is, how size it is, and it's one tent we're looking to have up in our indoor display showroom. Last but not least, one thing I should mention is the fact you've got oversized beams. So again, really nice 12 centimeter diameter beam, so it takes that extra bit of kind of structure in the side, and actually it's a higher pressure, so they are recommending going up to about 9 or 10 psi with this model, and because of that they're again supplying a downdraft pump, so you get a better pump as well, again to kind of marry up with it. So like I said, it's the details like that and things like they're providing really nice strong pegs to go with it as well, and it's trying to create the full package, so in theory you haven't really got to buy an awful lot else, you know, and you're not suddenly upgrading all things, you're getting the top grade possible to start off with, which admittedly is quite refreshing. So yeah, that's our little video review on the Dometic Ascension. If you want more information, like I said, check the link below, or let us know what you think about it in terms of size-wise, quirkiness-wise. You know, do you like it? Do you not like it? It's always good to hear back from you and get more of a sort of a feel from the product, because it's definitely something that's interesting, definitely something to look out for. It's definitely one to come into the shop to see in the flesh. So yeah, that's kind of our video review on the new camper Ascension in the 601 size and also the 401 size.